Alright, what's up, guys? I haven't done a video in a long time, so well, actually just a week ago. But I don't really make basketball videos on this on my channel, but I need to today because Tim Duncan, the GOAT, retired. And anytime that I've talked in a live stream, I'm pretty sure like basketball in some capacity has come up. Um, but I don't think I've ever made like a video specifically dedicated to basketball, and the reason for that is mainly because I didn't really have a whole lot of people to talk to about it, so not many people know it. But this video, I feel like I have to make. I don't know why. I don't know the reasoning because I'm not usually one to like express myself that much over social media, but because Tim Duncan retired, I don't know. There's some reason I have to make this video, so I'm just gonna make it. But basketball is pretty much like a very big part of my life. Maybe not so much in the recent years. I don't really play it anymore because like I'm in college. I don't play for like a team or club anymore. But I did play a little bit in high school, and so I've loved basketball for like a good portion of my life. One of my favorite hobbies. It's right up there with like Dragon Ball and Metal Gear, like series that I love like that. Um, and what really fostered that love for it was San Antonio, the San Antonio Spurs. They were my favorite. They've always been my favorite team. Um, I first I first watched them. The first couple of games that I watched was in '03 when they won their second championship, and I want to talk about that later because like Tim Duncan during that whole not just during that postseason, during that entire season was just like what that was one of the most successful campaigns by a single player in NBA history ever. Um, though probably the best ever is probably Hakeem's. I think it was in '94, '95 when he won like everything: All Star Game MVP, Championship Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. He won like everything that year. But yeah, that's when I started first watching it, and then I really got into them in 2005 when they won their third championship, um, and which was like when I was in sixth grade, 2005. So ever since then, I've religiously followed the team, and um, they are a big part of my life. So you can just imagine how like Tim Duncan, who has played 19 seasons for the same team, I kind of wish it would have been 20, but 19 seasons. For him to go and retire, it's like pretty much like I feel like I'm watching the last episode of DBZ, or like I'm. It's kind of like for all of us who have like favorite series, fictional series or whatever. It's kind of like your favorite series coming to an end, and there's no new content after it. It's kind of like that. Um, because he's just such a like it he at the end of the day we not I don't think any of us know him personally, but he was so genuine and real with everyone. Like he just like one of the things that he not just him but like that whole team taught me was just to approach every success and every failure that you have in life with humility and class and modesty, and then just keep put your head down and just keep working at it like that. Like he was not just him, but like because he was the best player on that team for many years. um, he was he was the one that people looked up to. It's kind of like how people look at Kobe or LeBron or whoever. Like he was the one that really instilled that into me when I was a kid, and I'm forever grateful to him for that. And like whenever I watch his interviews or anything, he's just so caring and nice and modest, and he's just like a genuinely good person, And it sucks that that someone like that doesn't get to go out the way that you wanted him to, but all those things together, and obviously his skill set, all those things together made him my second favorite athlete ever. My favorite athlete ever, if you guys don't know, is Manu, who is his teammate. But um, when I woke up, I woke up pretty late today because I didn't have work. So I think I woke up like at 2. I woke up and like Yahoo, right? Yahoo Sports is like my front main page, or my main front page, like when I open my browser, Google Chrome. And the first thing I see is Tim Duncan calls it quits after 19 seasons. Fucking fly. Calls it quits after 19 seasons. And the feeling that I had was just one of disbelief, shock, my heart sinking, satisfaction, expectation. It was like a whole bunch of different emotions. And I think I just started. I clicked on the article. I read it. I went on Twitter, read all the NBA players wishing him well, congratulating him, loving him for everything that he did. Now Skype showed up, so I have to exit this real quick. I just went through the motions, and then once all that was done, I ended like, if you guys go on my Twitter page, I was just retweeting everything, like every single compliment that every player gave him, because if anyone deserves it, he does, especially because he was such like a private person. And I feel like I'm like I feel like I'm just like 5 years old again, just like, or I wasn't 5, I was 11. I feel like I'm 11 years old again, just like saying all this. But what happened then was I started watching like highlights of him, like all his best moments. And as a Spurs fan, I've been spoiled, because every year that Tim Duncan has been on this team, every year that I've been with the team, ever since I've started watching basketball, this team, my favorite team, has always won 50 games in a season, has always contended for a championship, even if they weren't the favorites. Even if they weren't the favorites, they always had a shot at winning the championship. And for Timmy to win 5, all those highs, all those successful playoff runs that we experienced, was obviously counteracted by all the painful ones. I mean, point 4 in 2004, last year, or 2015 last year, with Chris Paul hitting the game-winning shot. 2013, obviously, with in Game 6, Ray Allen. 2006 when Manu fouled Dirk. So 2009 when Manu missed the playoffs. 2008 when Manu hurt his ankle, and he was pretty much like our X factor, arguably our best player with him and Tim, because of the way he was playing. I think he finished in top 10 in MVP voting. Him and Tim both finished in top 10 in MVP voting that year. 2011 when we were the number 1 seed, and that was kind of fool's gold. So 2012 when we got backdoor swept by OKC, like all these painful playoff losses, and all the highs and all the success that he's had, like all the defense, all NBA teams, all defensive, the MVPs, 3 Finals MVPs, All-Star Game MVP, like all these different. The only thing that he's really missing was like an Olympic gold medal. I think he was only on 1 Olympic team, if I'm not mistaken. All those things combined really cemented him as definitely as a top 10 player of all time, and arguably top 5. Just for how long he's been doing it. Like, San Antonio has won 70% of the game. They've lost over 19 seasons out of all the NBA games they've played, I think playoffs included. San Antonio has won 70% with Tim Duncan on the team, and like that is just a testament to greatness. Like, even like the thing about the team this year was that this year, even though, and we'll talk about that a little later, but you have to understand, even though Kawhi won Defensive Player of the Year, Danny Green was a great perimeter defender, LaMarcus had shown himself to be a pretty good defender, and Tony was, standard defender. Timmy was also helping to anchor that defense. This is the defense that was played this year in the regular season, even though we weren't really able to show it against OKC, except for the first game. The defense that was shown was the best defense in the league had seen in 15 years, right? And I'm basing that off like the defensive PER and efficiency rating and all that, like all the advanced stats that ESPN and stuff like to use. And Tim Duncan at 38, 39 years old, 38 and he wasn't even young. He's 38 and 39 years old. Most basketball players, if I'm not mistaken, retired like at 35, 36, 37, somewhere around that age. Timmy was helping to anchor that with Kawhi at 38 and 39 years old. All these big dudes, and even though like now it's a guards game, like even all like these big dudes, Chris Bosh when he didn't have his health problems, Blake Griffin, DeMarcus Cousins, all these great big men, DeAndre Jordan, Dwight Howard, even all these players who were like going at the rim, and he was like blocking shots and manning the paint and corralling the rebound and doing all this shit. Like, he was doing that at 38 and 39 years old, and that work ethic, like all those things put together, you just, I mean, it's one thing to not be a fan of the Spurs and maybe just be a fan of basketball and stand in awe and stare in awe at that, but it's another thing to be a fan of Tim Duncan, be a fan of the Spurs, and just see that happen even today. It's really incredible. Like, to adequately put like what Tim Duncan not only as a player but as a person means to me. I I can't adequately put it in words. Because it wouldn't be right, and it would be way too succinct or way too long or whatever, right? If it was too succinct, there'd be more to say. If it was too long, I could have made that shorter, but or there would still be more to say. But the least that I can say to Tim Duncan is just thank you. Like there, we all have terrible times in our lives, hard times in our lives, and it's I don't want to get like sappy or emotional or anything here, but there are times where like even things like basketball, which has nothing to do with anything that's going on in your life, that can be like a place of refuge and solace for people. And for me that definitely was it. That's why I played for the time that I did in high school. Because that helped me to get away from like stuff that was happening here. And Tim Duncan was definitely just his unassuming ways, the way that he went about his business. When he had business, he minded it. It wasn't even necessarily shying away from the spotlight or answering questions. It was like he made me smarter. He made me better, as not as a player but as a person. And we have never had a conversation. And that's kind of like the power that sports has. I want to say basketball, but I'd be a fool to just say basketball. That's kind of like the power that sports has over people, athletes have over people. If there was ever a player that embodied like what it means to be a true athlete and to be like a model to younger people, like Tim Duncan was definitely that person. He was like out of every single player that I've ever seen play. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Spurs fan and I'm biased. I've never seen anyone embody like what it means to be a good person more than Tim Duncan has. I haven't. I've not seen one athlete, not one basketball player that I can say is quote unquote a better person than Tim Duncan. And like you look at the career, like 5 rings, 3 Finals MVPs, 2 MVPs, All-Star Game MVP, Rookie of the Year, won when he was playing in Wake Forest for 4 years, won the John Wooden Award. Like I said, the only thing that he was missing was the Olympic gold medal. And obviously, and shout out to Kobe too, because it's obviously between him and Tim about who's the greatest of their generation, and I'm glad that people are starting to understand that Tim has a case, because I'll be honest, Kobe and the Lakers kicked our ass in 2001 and '02. Like we just couldn't beat them. Dave Robinson was too old. We didn't really have a good team that could like defend like a Rick Fox and a Kobe and even a Derek Fisher. When we beat them, that's what made 2003 so sweet, which was the year after they three-peated, because that whole 2003 season, especially the postseason, was when Tim Duncan really cemented himself at that time as the best player in the league, because he won the MVP, right, in 2003. He beat the Lakers, who were the defending champions. And then that finals that he had against the New Jersey Nets, which San Antonio won in 6 games. That game 6, he had nearly a quadruple double. 28 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, and then 8 blocks. That was nearly a quadruple double. And there's only 2 other players. One of my friends on Facebook let me know that Shaq did it. I think it was in 2002, Game 6 maybe. I think it was against the Pacers. No, it was against the Nets. 2002 was against the Nets. 2000 was against the Pacers, and then '01 was against the Sixers, if I'm not mistaken. But besides, Tim's game against New Jersey, that's in Game 6. There was the Shaq game, and then this year against Golden State, what LeBron did in games 5 through 7, which was absolutely fucking legendary. And anyone that hates on LeBron after that needs to be fucking shot. Or at the very least suspended from all basketball discourse ever. But that 2003 run was like, because again, I didn't start following the team until like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 2005 when they won the 3rd championship. But that performance, man, like that whole postseason, just thinking about it, like Manu was a rookie. He was not the player. He wasn't going to be the player that he was going to be. Tony was a rookie who was reportedly going to be traded for Jason Kidd, or at least have Jason Kidd come in and take his starting position if he was going to leave. If Jason Kidd was going to leave the Nets, our second best player was Steven Jackson, right? Even Bruce Bowen didn't become like the great defender that he did until like maybe the next year or the year after that, or the year after that. So like thinking about that whole 2003 postseason run, like Tim Duncan almost like single-handedly brought us our second championship with like virtually no help. And the only other two superstars that I remember that have done that are Dirk in 2011. Considering like he had to go through, the defending champion Lakers and Kobe, KD and Russ, James Harden and Serge Ibaka in the Western Conference Finals, and then obviously the Heat with their big three of LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh in the finals. So that championship run, and then the one that Hakeem had, might have been the '94 one, the first one. Like those three are especially special because of how, not only because of how they stayed loyal to the city, but like the performance that they put on was just absolutely like incredible to watch. And obviously 1999 was a good one. Antonio Daniels is his best friend, and so like seeing them win a championship together was pretty heartwarming. 2005 is one of my favorite series ever because Detroit was such a good opponent, and they had like one of the best defenses that the NBA had ever seen. And not only that, like you look at that starting five: Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace, and Ben Wallace. Like those five were all all-star caliber team. Like yeah, even Tayshaun Prince, all of them were all-star caliber level players. So to see that and for it to go 7 games and to show the fortitude and like the storyline of Larry Brown was the coach, and the great series that Tim had, or Ben and Tim had been going at it in the post, but to see Manu play the way that he did, and arguably Manu should have won the Finals MVP that year too. Kind of wish that he did a little bit. I think people would stop underrating him as much, but it's just incredible to think that Tim has 3 Finals MVPs. Shaq has it, LeBron has it, Magic has it. I think I don't know who else has it besides. MJ obviously won it all 6 times, but that playoff series was great. 2007 was especially special for me because that's like one of the best years of my life in general, for various reasons. But San Antonio winning it was definitely the reason. That's when he won 4 championships, and Manu and Tony were being talked about as like the best backcourt ever because of the championships they won. And again, it's a crime that Manu's only been to 2 All-Star games. He should have been to 6 at least. Like from 2005 to 2011, he should have been in every All-Star game, because he was just that good. But man, and then obviously 2014 was obviously like just amazing because that was pretty much like a revenge run for us. Like we had to beat OKC, and arguably I actually think that OKC team was better than the one that we lost to this year because of like the playmaker that they had in Reggie Jackson, because Serge Ibaka and Kendrick Perkins and what's his name, Steven Adams were there still. KD had won the MVP that year, so and Russ was obviously a top 5 player. So like just going through that team, going through Portland, going through Dallas, who gave us it was just like a special playoff run because like Dallas had been like a nemesis of ours for like years, and all the Timmy and Dirk battles, and the Portland series, and obviously the OKC series, and then obviously like our redemption against Miami in the final. Like that was just so sweet to see Timmy get 5 rings, to see like that he was undoubtedly in company with Shaq and Kareem and Bill and Wilt and Hakeem. Those are the 6 greatest big men to ever play basketball, or at least in the NBA. Kareem's probably the best, and Bill and Wilt, and then I'd say Timmy, Hakeem, and Shaq, and that's in no order except that Kareem is number 1. But those are the six best big men to ever play in the NBA. And the one thing that I'll always remember from that playoff run was the overtime in Game 6 that we had against the Thunder when he hits that turnaround baseline jumper when Russ tries to block it and it just like clanks in. His performance during that overtime was just one for the ages considering like how old he was. I think he was like 37, 30, 36, 37 maybe. I think he was 37, maybe 38. And for him to do that against like a very young team like they did and for us to win that series was like it. I like saying hats off to him isn't enough for me because I'm a fan. I genuinely love the dude, and so I just been rambling on for 20 minutes. So I guess I'll just say like what my favorite moments that definitely come to mind were obviously like the Game 6 against the Nets, which I talked about, the near quadruple double that he had, the Game 6 overtime, that was another great one, and then what's his name? And then the 3-pointer that he had against Phoenix in Game 1. I remember like I was in ninth grade, and I remember watching that and I was like, oh shit, like I was so hyped when he made that shot because I remember Michael Finley. I think he was the one that hit like the game-winning shot for us in that game. So yeah. So many emotions right now, man. It's like of course I'm sad, but there's also a sense of contentment, and I hate how his career ended though. Like I hate how Tim's like when you look at that when we lost to OKC this year, like it was just like the game two, like the refing in game two, and then the refing in game five when Kawhi fouled Russ, and then they still counted the shot anyway when he went up for it. For that to be Tim Duncan's last home game as a Spur, and then for us to get smashed in game six, and then for him to acknowledge the crowd with his thumb, and then go to the locker room. I would have been okay with it. Like I would have been more. I could have swallowed the pill easier had we lost to Golden State. But I genuinely felt like that we were better than OKC, and we lost to OKC for a number of reasons. Obviously, OKC felt like obviously they were the better team because they were faster and longer, and we were just too old. We couldn't run with them. The rebounding with when Enes Kanter and Steven Adams played, we just couldn't rebound them. David West, Boris Diaw, Timmy, and LaMarcus, like they just weren't physical enough, or they couldn't jump high enough to get the ball and get the rebound. And whenever we had open shots, the ball just never went in the hole. Um, and everyone really played like shit. To be honest, that's just the truth. Like besides Kawhi and Danny, like everyone, even Kawhi didn't really play his best game all the time. He took too many hero shots, I felt. But like there were times like when you look at the game six, there was a spell like where we had open shots, and we didn't score for like 8 minutes straight or something like that. Even when we had open shots, the ball was just not going in the hole. And when I think about that, like when I think about that series, like that was a common theme. Like we just couldn't get the ball to go in the hole even when we were open. Except for game one and game three, but all those games, games one, two, three, four until KD went supernova at the end, five, and then obviously six doesn't count. But all those games were super close, and I really felt like had our shots just went in, even on the open shots, like those are shots that we usually make, and for whatever reason they didn't go in. It's kind of like what we saw with Steph and the Warriors in the finals. Like they were all those pull-up threes that they were making that they're accustomed to making, they just weren't going in. But for us, it was like open shots, like shots that were like takeable and makeable, and they just weren't going in. And um, that and it's that and the reffing, and it that's why it's so hard to swallow for me personally, because I felt like if there was a way to go out, I would have just wanted to get beaten like straight up. Like everyone was scoring. I didn't want to lose like on bad reffing or because like our shot was off. I wanted to get, if I wanted to lose a series, I would want to lose like when it was like competitive and when both teams' games were clicking. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. So that is the one regret that I take away, from tonight, from Tim Duncan retiring. Um, but yeah, I think I've said enough, really. 25 minutes about how much the dude means to me. Like on Twitter I read like how he spent like $12,000 to save like a stranger's dog because it had cancer. And it's stories like that to just make him like a genuinely like really good person and just someone that everyone can look up to. And to do it in a small town, even though San Antonio is like one of Texas's premier cities, it's not the most premier one, like say like Dallas, but for him to do it in a for him to do it like in a relatively small city like San Antonio, and for him to give that city like a sense of like energy, and to empower its fans, and to empower like everyone that loved the team, and for him to do that, it's I don't know. There's just no way to describe like what that means to people. So I guess just basically I made this video just to like I don't know if it was to get my feelings out, but I guess just to let people acknowledge the greatness of Tim Duncan. And it's special that him and Kobe are going into the Hall of Fame together. Are probably going to go into the Hall of Fame together in 2021, which is yeah, 2021. It's perfect. And I guess I can talk about like what this means for us now. He's my second favorite athlete ever. It was amazing to watch him. There were times there were times I got frustrated with him, but he was always sincere, and he's my second favorite athlete ever. And I just can't say enough good things about him, and I'll miss him. I'll miss him. For us, for the future, Kawhi is obviously like my favorite modern player. Derrick Rose is up there, Mike Conley's up there, Steph is up there, and KD are up there. We could talk about KD going to the Dubs too, but next season is probably going to be Manu's, and this. If you thought this was bad, like when Manu retires, I'm gonna lose it. I sent out a tweet today. I have 4 dads. I have 4 dads. Okay, my real one, and I love them all very much. They've all taught me great things. I have my real one. I have Tim Duncan. I have Manu Ginobili, and I have Goku. Those are my 4 dads, right? So when Manu retires, like that, like I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably go on a rant about how underrated he is. And this is just my opinion. But I firmly believe it, and I believe I can back it up. He is a top 10 shooting guard ever. Top 10 shooting guard ever. You have MJ at 1, Kobe at 2, D Wade and Jerry West 3 and 4. AI if you count him, or no, not AI. Clyde Drexler at 5. AI if you count him as 6. Sidney Moncrief at 7. Manu number 8. But that's a completely different discussion. We can talk about it in the comments if you want. But next season, I'm just gonna enjoy Manu's last season. I don't know how many years Tony has left. I wanna see Kawhi, obviously grow. I do believe Kawhi will win the MVP. Maybe not next year, because that's probably Russ. I think Russ is just gonna go ham. But I want to see what LaMarcus is capable of, because LaMarcus is 30 and 31, so he only has like 2-3 good years left. Maybe 4 if he can make it to 35, because we have him on a 4-year deal, so this is going to be a second one. Adding Powell was a good pickup for us, even though he's old. But I'm worried about his defense. Him and Tony's, like if they get caught in the pick and roll defense, like oh god, we're gonna get killed. But I would have liked to see Powell and LaMarcus play with Timmy for one more season, and I would have liked for Timmy to get 20, and for him to not go out the way that he did. But you can't get everything. But our draft pick DeJounte Murray, he was the steal of the draft according to most players, and he's gonna be an all-star someday. I just know it. Livio John Charles, he was a good pickup for us in 2013 from the draft. I think he's coming over. Davis Bertans is a good shooter, and so Ryan Arcidiacono. And what's funny is like now that Tim is leaving, this is going to be our youngest team that Pop has ever coached. And speaking about Pop, we have him on lock for a while because he's going to go ahead and coach in the Olympics. So, well, not this year, the next one, 2020, and then maybe even after that. But so we have him for a while. Tony too, and then I think us and the Clippers and the Thunder were the only teams that can really challenge Golden State, because like KD going to the Warriors is just too much for my brain to handle. Like I didn't know what to think like when I saw that. Like I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Because like people are comparing it to LeBron, but the thing about like LeBron going to Miami in 2010 was that LeBron went from the number one team in the East to go to a lesser. I think the Heat weren't even like top four; they were like the fifth seed, and so he went there to join up, and he went there to join up with the Chris Paul. And see, that's the thing. Like Miami was not a contender. Um, they weren't a contender, and you know LeBron didn't do it just for a championship. Like D Wade was like one of his best friends, and he was close with Chris Bosh. Like all three of them were drafted in the same draft, 2003. So like and the difference between that and like even Boston, Boston had to trade to get KG and Ray Allen. Like I if I remember correctly, they weren't signed in free agency or anything like that. It was yeah, it was trading. So, but the difference between those two and like KD going to the Dubs is that first of all, Golden State has the two-time MVP, the first ever unanimous MVP, Coach of the Year, the number one seed in the West, the best regular season record of all time. And so a team that is known for their scoring, for the prolific scoring, and so you're adding like an all-time great scorer into that team. And like that's what like makes it so like mind-boggling and a little, like sketchy to some people. I personally wish he would have stayed on OKC because it would have just made the West more competitive. But and see that's the thing. Like he's joining three All Stars, who are all still under 30. They're still all in their prime. They're not even 29 yet. Like 29 is like the best year for like an NBA player generally speaking, or at least 29 to 33, I'd imagine. It's just come oh man, that is just like ridiculous. Like how are you gonna stop that? Like, I mean, how can anyone watch the NBA like at that? But you have to find a way to beat them somehow. So that's I think we have the best shot at it now that KD is gone from OKC. Even though Victor Oladipo is a good pickup for them, but they have like looking at us like we have Kawhi and LaMarcus and Pau, and Danny Green is still good for us, and Tony and Manu, and we lost Boris Diaw, which I don't like. I wish we would have kept him. Losing Boris and Timmy in the same year, man, that's shit. Killed our fun. But we also signed Dwayne Dedman, who I think is going to be a very good pickup for us. He was from Orlando. He had a good year this year, so I'm excited to see what he's capable of. DeJounte Murray, Ryan Arcidiacono, and Bryn Forbes. It looks like he's going to be a good shooter. Davis Bertans, obviously. So I'm excited to see like what the team is going to be like once the season comes. Even though it's going to be very weird without Tim there, and it's going to be super funky, but Tim Duncan's gone, guys. I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. Fuck. Man, it's like a part of my childhood died, man. Like I haven't felt this way since Dragon Ball GT ended and Yu-Gi-Oh ended, and I watched the last season of the Pokemon Sinnoh anime, and oh my god, like just thinking about like who else is left now. KG is left, Dirk is left, Pierce is left, Manu's gonna retire next year, and I'm gonna cry probably off screen. I'm not gonna be a bitch and show it on screen. Maybe we'll see. D Wade is gonna be 35 next year. And just think about this: in 6-7 years, LeBron is gonna retire. Life moves way too fast for us guys, man. I guess in closing, all I can say is, Tim Duncan, I love you. You're amazing. You are dope, and you are forever. and never change. And you are the GOAT. You're a top 10 player, arguably top 5. And I'm gonna say you are top 5 because I'm biased. Well, you're 5th. And you're amazing. I don't know what else to say. And for sure, I will be changing my avatar to Tim Duncan probably next month because I always change my avatar like every month, and so it just feel kind of weird for me to like change it midway through the month. So I'm definitely changing it to Tim Duncan for a while, and yeah. As far as the next videos go that I'm going to be uploading, it won't be tonight. It will be sometime this week though. Gintama, I'm reviewing the latest arc, so I'm rereading through it. I just got to the part where Katsura had his fight against Shokaku. So once I finish reading it, I will do a full-on review, my thoughts on it. So that's my next video, and then I didn't review Dragon Ball Super because there wasn't like a whole lot of content for me to go over this episode. So I'm waiting for a couple more episodes to stack up. But next episode we're getting Zamasu, so I'm very hyped for that. See what he's capable of. And it's tough. It's tough. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. What will you guys remember about San Antonio and Tim Duncan? Man. For all those wins and all those playoff losses, man. Just just imagining like what he would have been capable of. Like Tim Duncan could have gone. They could have won 5 championships straight had Derek Fisher not hit the .4 shot and had Manu not fouled Dirk that year into 2006. 5 straight championships. It's just unbelievable to think of. And okay, that's it. I've had you guys here for 37 minutes. I'll probably do a live stream next Saturday. Because I promised one and I haven't done it yet, so I'll probably do it then. Thank you guys for watching. Peace and have a nice day, nice night. And always remember, Tim Duncan is dope. Tim Duncan is life. He is fire. He is wind. He is water. He is air. And he is forever. There's death, taxes, Spurs, and Tim Duncan. Good night, everybody.